Welcome to Conversations with Toi, a blogcast tackling life one episode at a time. This is the time to air out life's craziest moments. This space is all about speaking about life's hang-ups and ways in which we can leave better than when we started. Topics are all about ways we can find space to be better in life, love, mental space, and health.
Happy Friday. I hope that you have had the most amazing week possible. But can we just take a step? First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has been sending me messages regarding last week's episode when we talked about how my husband was doing better since he had his medical situation. And I just truly, well, it wasn't last week, it was the week before, because your girl has not been doing what she needs to do. And we're going to talk about that. But what I will say is that for those who did check on me, check on my family, I really want to just say thank you. I really do appreciate it. This week, I have had such a very, very busy week. One of the things that I have experienced is just enjoying like what I do. Recently, I just got notice that this podcast was named top 60 of the Black mental health and wellness podcast. And that really did my heart so good, especially when I didn't come for like the 2 weeks that I was kind of quote unquote off when I was dealing with my husband's emergency. And that makes me feel good because one, I know that I'm hoping that when you listen to this podcast that you're hearing somebody who is not saying that they had it all together. The very opposite is happening. But I hope that you're gaining from that is that somebody who is like myself can and will show up for themselves. And that's one of the biggest things that I have learned with dealing with my personal mental health and wellness is that you can have everything going on in your life. But if you continuously be consistent and showing up for yourself, that literally is the best thing for you. So I have been enjoying doing just that. But I have been trying some new things. This week, I did a pickleball class I was invited from a PR with Viva, and I actually loved it. So I've been seeing all the girlies talking about, doing their pickleball. And of course, a lot of them I feel like just want to have the aesthetic of the cute outfit. And I had my little cute outfit, I must say. And I do love that part, but it's the physical fitness of it all, of literally running up and down the court, learning new skills, learning how to do different techniques. Now, I did it when it was hot as Satan's toenails outside, but nonetheless, it was definitely a good look. It was a good look for me to be able to just enjoy that physicality of everything. So I enjoyed the pickleball class. We are definitely in the depths of summer. We have officially entered summer months. I know that when we get into May, we start saying that it's the unofficial summer months, and that is true. But now we are in the official summer months. And I must say that I have completely enjoyed, I like heat. I really do. So it doesn't necessarily bother me. Of course, you have to take extra precautions when you're out in the heat. And all of that is great. But at the end of the day, I'm super, super glad to just be in this new season. Now, this season for me, for summer, always represents a good happiness, joyful moments, and things like that. But I have heard so many times about how people still have like depressive moods in the summer. Let me just say this, because I have to say this. Seasonal depression is not just in the wintertime. I think that's when we hit the winter blues, when people experience it at greater amounts. Right? Just greater amounts. But at the end of the day, at the end of the actual day, many of us have these variations of depressive moods. And that's literally how it works. So if you have discovered and finding that you're not at your most joyful, maybe you're having a struggle, maybe you don't feel as excited, you're not at your it's summertime happy, please understand that it is okay. You don't have to compare yourself to another person or how you think that you should be comparing yourself to other people. Because the worst thing that you can do is compare yourself. Comparison is literally the theft of joy, because it takes away from you being able to really saturate yourself with the things that you love and you want to be around, because you're focused on what you should be at. And shoulda, coulda, woulda never work, right? So if you are experiencing any levels of depressive moods or anything to that effect, please understand that it is quite normal to experience that, and you can experience that at any given time. It's not just the wintertime. If you have been following me on my social media, and I believe that you should, you can find me at all things social media at Toi Time Blog. So that's ToiTimeBlog. You can find me all on the socials. And one of the things that I was talking about this week is that anger. Like sometimes we see anger as the villain, but anger is not always the villain, but it could be a foretaste of letting you know that you're in a some type of mental health issue. For instance, Black women are usually categorized as angry, right? Everything that we come off as, we speak to someone, anything that we do is always sometimes categorized as being angry. That's why you have the stereotypes of the angry Black woman, you have the stereotypes of all these different things. But let me just preface to this. I know for a fact that a lot of Black women that are coming off as angry are not necessarily angry. They are in a situation where their mental health is being pushed or pulled. And it could be a misdiagnosis. It really can. I also remember plenty of times, like even this week, I had an experience this week where I had an event that I wanted to go to. My son had a basketball game that he needed to be at. My husband cannot drive right now until he is cleared from the doctor. So the game was about 40 something minutes away. I honestly did not want to go. I'm going to be honest. Because honesty always works. When you're honest, it really can do so much for you. So anyway, did not want to go. I wanted to go to my event, and I became extremely angry. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I was more angry due to having a desire to want to be somewhere and trying to balance out the fact that, of course, as a mother, I was going to choose to go to my son's game. But that anger in the middle of that, I was completely overwhelmed with, do I just have my husband catch an Uber? Do I just have him and my son go? Have somebody else bring them home? Like there was a lot of moving parts to this. And I have been enjoying the fact that I'm recognizing when these times come, instead of being upset about it, that the anger presented itself, instead of being upset that the disappointment showed itself. Like, how do I handle that? And for me, normally when I'm in this angry mood, I will get angry and I will get mean, and I just, everybody else is kind of like walking on eggshells. That is something that I have changed. And so I still do get quiet. That is going to be how I process. I need time to think out all my thoughts. I got quiet, but I was telling my husband honestly how I felt, and that helped a lot. And then the second thing I did was I needed a cool off moment. And I've been noticing that with that cool off moment, yes, I don't speak to people. I need that. Again, it's a cool off moment. It means separating myself, not engaging until I can engage in a way that is healthy. And if I feel like my conversation will not be healthy, then yes, I'm going to take the 5 or 10 minutes that I need to make sure that I'm okay. In the midst of all of those things, I discovered that this is the best way for me to handle it. And this is something that I've been talking to my therapist about, because things are always going to pop up. Life is always going to be lifing, but my responses to things is going to truly matter. So that is something that I've been working on. So yes, trying new things. I've been working hard on my YouTube page. I've always had content on my YouTube page, where if I have like today, like this podcast will automatically go onto YouTube. It has always done so. I don't think a lot of people know that. So if you are listening, if you want to listen to on YouTube and you're like a YouTube person, then listen to it there. But I say that to say that in addition that I have been focusing on putting short form and long form content on there. And the reason is because I have always wanted to do that, but so scared to do it because, when you put yourself out there like that, like I've always put myself out, right? That's how the blog started. And if you don't know and you're new here, hello, hi. I don't think I introduced myself. Let me back. My name is Toi. I am the podcaster, also content creator, and I'm a wife, a mother, and I am a freelance writer and a blogger. I've been holding these titles for quite some time. But what I want to say is that one of the things that I have been recognizing is that when it comes to how I process things, I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to go back and go forward. So stick with me. Sometimes when I'm in the midst of processing things, I used to feel so guilty if I needed that extra moment because I felt like I had to be on. You ever felt like that? You feel like if you had to take the moment, you're bad. But if you don't take the moment, you're bad. So you're bad all the way around. But then it becomes more of a judgmental thing. We're going to take judgmental right on out. Just take it completely out. Okay, so if somebody's listening to this, just understand you don't have to be judgmental of yourself. You don't have to tell yourself that you should have something together. What really is great is that you're trying to work it out. You're trying to do your best. All right, now can you tell that I have completely changed locations because my voice is a little higher, a little bit more free? I don't know if any of my other podcasters like understand the concept. Like when I am at home and in my open podcast space, I record better, but I did not want to not have another podcast for you this week. So I recorded in two different locations. But the freedom to say I can do that, right? Isn't that not the thing? That is the freedom. But again, I am still wanting to dig deeper into this anger. So again, being a black woman, you're always going to be considered the angry black woman, the woman who just seems to complain about a lot of different things. And the thing that I've learned about my personal anger is that a lot of times it's based upon other triggers. So if I'm triggered by something, that will cause me to be angry and it'll come off as like this super aggressive behavior when reality is just like I'm not able to learn how to process. Like basically I'm not exercising my emotional intelligence. I won't say that I don't have any, but I will say that I'm not operating in my emotional intelligence to know the difference of, hey, take that cool down moment that I talked about. Take that moment to yourself. Maybe think about your thoughts before you speak. Maybe say, hey, can you give me a second to just kind of put my thoughts together and then I can come back. Like taking a moment for me has been game changing because I don't want my anger to come off to, especially just the people in my house, for instance, to think that every time I'm upset about something that they have to walk again on eggshells or that they can't say or be or do whatever needs to be said or to be or do because that's not fair to them. And I don't want them, especially like for my daughters, to carry that into their relationships, right? And I don't want my son to get so comfortable, used to seeing a woman who needs to express herself, but instead she's wilding out and acting up because this becomes normal. It's not necessarily normal. And I don't want to normalize that. I don't want that to be normalized at all. So I say that to say that I am learning how to control anger. I'm learning how to recognize it. I'm learning to be able to speak freely. Do you know how irritating it is? Sometimes as a black woman, we can't say that I'm afraid. I can't say I'm scared. I can't say you've hurt me. These types of words are like taboo because we have all been taught as a sense of survival, right? The survival game to say, I'm strong. I can do it all. And people are like, oh, I don't know how you do that. I hear that so much. I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you're able to run a business, work, do all these different things. I don't know how you're able to do that. And it's like, I don't want to be the strong person all the time. Like, I want to be able to just be soft and say, hey, I'm struggling. I'm not this. This is on the, this is going left. That's going right. I need to be able to say that sometimes without always feeling like I have to be on. Like having to be on 24/7 so that you're not perceived as angry, so that you're not perceived as a problem, so that you're not problematic. It is annoying. It is annoying. I speak for most, I would say not even most, I speak for a lot of black women that you get tired of always feeling like you have to be on. You get tired of feeling like you have to have it all together. Because if I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of times I don't have it together. And yes, I've been very honest about my mental health, but do you know how much gut that took for me to do that? Because remember, if you've listened to any of like the very first seasons of, this is season 12. So if you listen to like the first season where I discuss very vividly how it was when I was talking to my family about, hey, I am going through this thing. I didn't know it was postpartum at the time. And everybody's like, well, go to sleep, do this, do that. And I was still floundering because we're not taught that we can be vulnerable, that we can be honest about how we feel. Many of us had parents that would disallow it. That would truly disallow it. I couldn't say, I don't like the way that you said that to me because I would be met with all kinds of repercussions and problems. So that we grow up to be adults that feel like we can't do the same because we've been told we have to be quiet, you have to be small, you have to do this, you have to do that, and don't, and you can't, and you can't. And that's not good. It's unhealthy. It makes you very much unwell, right? Just makes you very much unwell. And so I am learning and relearning and making a mistake and then relearning that it's okay for me to be soft. Now, again, am I strong? Yes. Do I do a lot? Yes. Can I take a lot? Yes. But just because I can take a lot, this is where we have to have the conversation because there are so many people that may be listening to this and you say, oh, well, my partner seems like she could do it all. She takes so much on. But is she taking so much on because of the fact that
you're putting so much on her, you recognize her quote unquote strength, but instead of offering help, instead of giving her the things that she needs, instead of making sure that she can be vulnerable and then not be judged for it, instead of doing all those things, you just rather dump. It's like I hear so many conversations on TikTok about how husbands feel like they're babysitting their kids, or, if you get a husband that says, like, I'm helping around the house too because it's the house that I live in, and they're calling him a simp. But the reality of it is that most of those wives of the husbands that are not being called simp are the ones that are complaining to their girlfriends about how this man don't do anything. He'll leave his drawers in front of the thing. He'll get out of the tub and leave a ring in the thing, and then when you tell him about it, then he wants to come back and back at you about what he does and how much he pays. These are real life conversations, and I want to let somebody know that's listening to this: if you are doing those things as as a partner, and you think that that doesn't matter, I promise to you that it does. I promise to you that your person is getting very much giving upset. Your person dislikes the fact that they have to always tell you 2011 things. And then the funny part is you don't like when somebody is quote unquote mothering you and smothering you, but you don't want to change the behavior so that two adults can coincide and be together and do the things that needs to be done without babying the other, because you don't want to be the adult in the situation as well. Somebody talk to me, because I'm telling you, it's irritating. Like, I would love to always be in a soft space. You know how people started the whole concept of soft life? I've talked about this like at least 3 or 4 times. This concept that Black women have now put on and said, you know what? I'm going to have this soft life. That means that if I want to have things for my convenience, I'm going to have it. I love seeing the women that can find somebody to come to their home and do their hair and do their lashes and do their facials and things. There's one influencer, I forget her name, but I follow her and she does it all. And I'm like, I love that. It's a beautiful thing. But she has a team of people. And the beautiful thing about it from the outside looking in, because, we don't know what's going on in people's homes, because it could be looking good and it could be a mess inside. I get all of that. But one of the things that irritates me, especially when it comes to like an old school woman, an old school mother, we're talking about somebody above 50 and older, right? You'll see a young lady who has a team of people that she has in her arsenal to help. And the first thing is, well, I ain't have all that and I did just fine. Y'all new girls can't handle it. It's not about not being able to handle it. It's about the fact that if I want somebody to be a nanny to come in this house so I can go a couple hours at the gym, if I want somebody to pick up my kids from school so I can go to work every single day, if it's the fact that I may need somebody to meal prep for me because, hey, I have 2011 things and cooking food is not the priority, but it is a priority, but I need help. I need the old school women, the old school mothers, the grandmamas. Put your ear closer to whatever device you're listening to this on. Stop being a hater. Now, I'm going to tell you why. I used to hate when people used to say the word hater, but let me tell you why this becomes a hate. You not being able to do, you taking all those things and being able to do it and then getting mad at another young woman who can and has help is hater vibes. Because why wouldn't you want, like, you ever hear parents say, I want my kids to have more? Like for me, and my husband are both college graduates, right? I want my kids to then go to get masters. I want them to go get doctorates in law and all that stuff. I want them to do all those things, right? Or if the fact that we're in a 2-parent home and then we're learning to bring in different amenities. If they decide that they're having a child and their husband says, listen, I want my wife to have a doula. I want her to have a night nurse. Do y'all know what a night nurse is? Let me just put you on. A night nurse is a woman or man, whomever, that comes into your home at the hours between about 10 until about 6 or 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And all they do is they do all the, them times when them babies getting up, they do all the changing, they do all the cleaning, they do all the stuff. They even help wash the bottles and things. Should you be using bottles? You don't got to be a breastfeeder for it. But they come in as a night nurse. I said to myself, my God, unto my today, what in the heck is going on? I knew that there was a concept of a night nurse. I would have signed up for it. Why? Because my husband was working a full-time job. I was exhausted and out of my body and out of my mind. And having another person that only job was to take care of that baby so I can take care of me and sleep. Do you not know that's a blessing? But God forbid if a woman wants to have a night nurse. God forbid if she wants to have a doula to make sure that she can bring life into this world with another person that can advocate for her health. God forbid. God forbid. But here's the thing. These are things that women outside of my particular race have access to, have known about, who do this is normal to them. Right? And so, people, My old school mothers, the grandmamas, the aunties, the cousins and them. Some of y'all is the cousins that ain't never you ain't raised a child or a chicken, and you telling somebody else about how they shoulda, coulda, woulda, and it's very giving hater. Because why would you not want the next generation underneath you to have more access? Like, I always want my children to have more access than I have. I want them to have more access than I had. And I had, even with my parents being middle class family, and, we were struggling here and there. My mom had to work night jobs. My dad had to do whatever he had to do. But even with all of that, and that was considered having access, my husband and I have even more access. I want my kids to come behind me and have more access. So if my daughters come to me and says their husband recognized as soon as they got pregnant, they had somebody that was working with them from the time they got pregnant until the baby was born, had somebody else coming there and helping them at night and doing those things. And especially if I can't do it, because I prayed that at that age, I hope I can. I hope they would even want me to, because let me tell you something. If you don't understand, having a child and then bringing your mama or somebody else into the house may not always work, but I pray that they're even open to me even doing it. But even if it's not me, I want them to have the access to these things, because their mental health and wellness does depend on the team that you have. You will be as strong as you can be if the right people are in your team. Because when you don't, you got to fight for your life to get the right folks, or to get yourself together to be strong enough to to take care of yourself. See, this is the problem with this whole being strong. I'm tired of being strong. I want to be loved on. I want to be cared for. I want to be babied sometimes. Sometimes I just want to curl up. Sometimes, like, there's been times where I don't want it to be just about a tragedy, right? There was a time a couple weeks ago where I was crying uncontrollably, and he literally just cradled me almost like a baby just so I could calm down. And sometimes that's okay. I'm not around here crying every 2.3 seconds, but sometimes that release needed to be there. And I don't want to feel bad about having that. I don't want to feel bad about that. I don't want to feel bad because that's something that at the time I need. So when I talk about women and their anger, when I talk about women, especially black women and their anger, it's because they don't have the access to the things that they need. Go ask a single mother why she's hollering at her children. It could be one, that she was hollered at as a child. It could be number two, that she, in addition to that, she's been hollered at as a child. She doesn't have good parenting skills. Maybe she needs better parenting skills. But the other part of it is that maybe she doesn't have enough access to the basic things that she needs. She's overwhelmed in a team of one with however many multiple children, and she may need help. She may need access. But we just, God forbid, want to categorize black women, especially, as these angry, vigilant people that just have no common sense, and we're just screaming and hollering. We have no ways, no realms about how to get right and be right. When in actuality, that is not always the case. Let me preface. I am learning to be vigilant and saying my anger is coming from a place that I need healing from. Like, being honest and saying that, oh my God, today. It is absolutely freeing. And it's crazy because when I'm around people who have known me back when, I would always just be like, go from like, I was part of Drake's team at this point. I would go from 0 to 100 real quick. Right? Back in the time when I would go from 0 to 100, and all those people who now see me differently, it's almost like they wait. They still wait. Like, is she? And I'm like, no, I'm not. Or if I say to them, hey, I need a second to bring my thoughts together. Now, my husband has gotten used to it. He has seen me do the change. But I'm talking about like old friends who have started to see me now, and they're just like waiting for the ball to drop, but the ball doesn't drop. Like, the ball is not going to drop because you're waiting on something that has already been fixed, something that's already been healed. And not that I won't have moments, but I can almost guarantee you the fact that I go to my tools, whether that be therapy, did you know acupuncture can be a wellness tool that you can use to help with your mental health and wellness? I just want to throw things out. You got to learn how to think out the box, right? So I bring in all my tools. It's almost like the Mouse Tools if you ever watched Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, right? And I got all my tools, and it's like, when I get to a point where I need an extra tool, like a couple weeks ago when my husband had this medical emergency, I went to reach for my tool, which was therapy. My therapist was unavailable. So I had to then go back into the bag and use one of the tools that I was taught to do without his help in hand to get me through. But I have had 2 crises happen back to back. My therapist was not available. Before y'all try to come for him, let me just say that's still a human being, and they cannot be on call. Your therapist is not your person. He ain't my personal therapist where he's my only, like, I'm his only person. I'm his only client. That's not what's happening here, right? And so in the moments when I felt like I needed to know, so I was going to call, I was going to do this, I really felt God say, listen, I need you to get that tool and I need you to use it. You know how people be like, well, you just pray about it. If you think you're having mental health, it's not mental health. You just got to pray. So I prayed, and then God directed me to a tool. And I went to use that tool, and that tool helped me. But you know what it showed me is that, yes, I do love the fact that I have a great relationship with my therapist, but I also love the fact that if and when I cannot get to said therapist, I also can dig down in my tools, realize my growth, use the tool, and become better. And then when I tell my therapist, it's after the fact. Hey, I got into some things. I had to use this tool. This is what happened. And my therapist was like, I'm really proud of you because I'm using it. And what is the point of going to therapy to be in therapy forever? I have never been in therapy like since the age of 19 all the way through to 44. I'm 44 now. I have not done that. At increments of times when I needed certain things, I have been in therapy. And as I don't need it, then I wean myself off of it. Meaning it's not even weaning myself off of it. I conclude that I am done with that situation. And when the next situation comes along that I feel overwhelmed and need a therapist again, I use the tool again. Like, it's almost like, you go to the gym. You don't got to always be on the treadmill. There's other tools. There's other pieces of equipment inside the gym. So if I feel like I need to work legs, then maybe I'll do that and then maybe use another tool. But tools have many ways of using them, and you can use more than one tool. Like, come on, somebody, we can use more than one tool. It's a concept. It's a beautiful and crazy concept at the same time, right? And so again, I'm not here to tell you that you have to have it all together, but I want you to hear another concept. If you're finally constantly seeing yourself in an irritable space, it could be black, you could be white, you could be striped, you could be polka dot, I don't care what color you are, I don't care what background you come from, I don't care that your family said that being in therapy and using these types of tools is going to make you this and that. Listen to me. If you recognize that you're irritable and you have these irritability that lasts a long time and you don't feel like you have a handle on it, you're not able to bring yourself at a calm, you're not able to do these things, I need you to go ahead and decide, let me go on ahead and get that tool. I'm going to go ahead and get that tool. Because there's nothing wrong with using them. Irritability is one way that your body kind of lets you know that you're in a fight or flight. And I've been learning that more and more often. So taking the time to learn and understand that has been very key in what the things that I need. And just to recognize to say, hey, wait a minute, you need this. So to all the other people who have recognized that and you have used your tools and you're constantly getting your tools or you're finding ways to get more tools, whatever the case may be, I love that for you. I love that you're able to do that. And if you're struggling because you're worried about what other people are saying, I want to preface that unless it's the person that lives in your home, which it could be, because y'all have heard the conversation that my husband and I have had, he wasn't the best advocate in my corner for mental health. He was supportive. He was never not supportive, but he wasn't as supportive as he needed to be for my mental health, but he also didn't understand it, and neither did I. Not making excuses, because he's accepted his not his fate, but he's accepted what he has done and has made the change. But what I will say is that, yes, there has been a time or two when even the person that lives with you, sleeps in your bed, you are one, y'all united, you love the Lord, you love him, he loves you, and that person can be a trigger. My husband used to be a trigger, and here's why he was a trigger. He himself was not the trigger, but how he handled me was a trigger. And in the midst of him handling me differently, I wasn't handling myself right. And so everything he said became worse and worse. And I did not like that. I hated that time. But in that time, we're able to look back and say, hey, how can I support you more? But also, you know what the beautiful thing that I've learned is that my spouse is not responsible for quote unquote fixing me. You ever have somebody that feels like you should know me? When I hear women, and I know ladies do not come from me. I can only talk about it from a perspective of who I am, because I'm a woman and I can recognize when we as women do certain things. I've had friends that says my husband should know better. We've been together forever today and they should know better. If you find yourself saying that, I need you to stop right now. Please do not tell me that. Please don't tell me that, because you know what you're also telling me when you're saying that is, I have not yet communicated or not found an effective way to communicate that A, B, and C is an issue for me. And so therefore I think that he should know. If you have communicated effectively and your partner isn't doing something that is a problem for you, and you have not made any moves within that, you cannot blame your partner when you have accepted the fact that you know he's not going to do. You're going to argue about him not doing, but then still get mad at him not doing, but you stick around. Now, I can say that as somebody who has been at that ready to defile, have filed, have done all these different things, or whatever the case may be, or has decided we're gonna separate, we're gonna get it together, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, or we got to talk about this as a real conversation. I can say that because when you at a point where you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you will either figure out a way to be with the person you love, or you'll figure out a way to uncouple. It's just as plain as simple. Now, I know it's not as simple when it comes to the practicality, because of God forbid you got children. God forbid you're not working. God forbid you have all these different things, but that don't mean it can't be done, because it can be. But you have got to find an effective way. Complaining about it numerous times is not an effective way. Having the conversation of saying, hey, I told you that I need you to support me in this very, very particular way. Don't say, I need your support and you're not giving it to me, because your support and his support may look very different. And in his mind, he may be supporting you, but because you have not conveyed very specifically about how you need your partner to support you, you can't get mad at they're not doing it if you're not communicating it. Let me give you an example. For me, it's very important that when I need to go to an event that may require a plus one, but I want to attend that event by myself because maybe it's just a different type of event, I just want to go by myself. It's important for my husband to understand that without causing any grief towards me or any lack or issues with me because I chose to take that moment by myself. Let me give you another example. I have said to my husband, for instance, we are in the midst of his medical situation. And I said to him, I'm going to do everything you need to have done because I want better for you. I want your health to be A1. But please understand that I am going to be frustrated. So when you say things to me like, why are you mad? I'm the one that's going through it. I need you to not say that, because I need you to understand that, yes, you are physically going through it, but we, your family members, are trying to adjust around you. And it is also just as stressful. So this is what I need you to do. I need you to not come at me or find a way to redirect your anger because you're seeing me angry and you're coming at me as if I have no right to be angry, because that is not fair to me. And we need to be able to openly say, hey, I love doing things for you, but I'm also frustrated by the volume that is being done because it's taking me away from something I like or I love. Now, ain't that something? Can you communicate that to your partner and your partner didn't walk out and leave? Newsflash, if they leave because you communicate that to them, let them go, because that could be God just trying to help you out. But you ain't heard that from me. Who said that? I'm just saying, at the end of the day, you've got to learn to say what you need. Not assume, not think, not overthink. Say exactly what you need, how you need it, and be clear. Please don't tell me that you're doing that and you didn't go through that type of example. You didn't do it. I need you to stop talking to me when I'm saying certain things. Yes, that could be very direct. Hey, when I'm speaking, I want you to allow me to have the floor, to allow me to express myself before you cut me off. Because when you cut me off, you make me feel as if my words are not valued. That's different than shut up. That's different than be quiet. That's different than just the interruption and saying, you did it again. No, I need you to allow me to speak whenever I'm expressing myself. Allow me to say what I need to say before you cut me off, because when you don't, it makes me feel like my words are not valuable. That's a completely different story. Then he should just know not to keep interrupting me because he knows I'm going to get mad. Getting mad It's not the same thing as saying that you make my words invaluable, because if the person loves you the way that they say they love you, why in five hells would they want to make you feel invaluable? But they never heard it that way, because the only thing that you display is that you're angry because they cut you off and not saying what the cutoff means to you. And do you have to say that all the time? Unfortunately, yes. Because as human beings, we need to be able to communicate effectively. Some of us are communicating, but not effectively. We're not saying the full story of what we need. We just assume that if I give you a spoonful, if I tell you a part of it, and the rest of it's in my head, then it's acceptable. But I've been learning that no, it's actually unacceptable. You have to say exactly what you mean. Nonverbal communication, which is one of my very weak points. I will nonverbal communicate all the time. We could be in a car and it's like turn left and turn right, and I'm sitting here using my hand motions as if my husband is supposed to look at me while he's supposed to be looking at the road, and me giving him direction of left or right when I could have just said turn right, turn left. You see what I'm saying? Completely different. It's a communication. You are communicating, but it's not effective. It's not effective. So can I encourage you that while you're in your healing phase, because we're in our healing phases all the time, can I encourage you to go deep down and find a tool that may help? Can I encourage you to communicate effectively? Can I encourage you to do that? Because I need you to do that. I need you to do that. That would be a blessing.
So, as we end this podcast episode, a few things. One, if you haven't read it, go ahead and get Miss Tina Knowles' book. Her memoir is absolutely outstanding. I am starting to read that and I'm already into it. A lot of things that I've been learning about Miss Tina Knowles, which is also known as Beyonce's mother, is just the things that she's endured. Because sometimes I feel like we don't make her human just because she's Beyonce's mom. But I've been learning a lot. So if you are a reader or maybe you want to listen to an Audible, go ahead and grab Miss Tina Knowles' book. Her memoir is outstanding. And I absolutely like listening to the Audible only because it comes from her voice. If you have been a part of, grew up, watched The Best Man book is coming out. Unfinished Business, it's coming out. I have already pre-ordered it and I cannot wait. Now, I'm a little bit of a book snob. I don't know what you want to call it. So a lot of times I've been telling you, I will buy the hard copy and then I will also listen to an Audible. So I done already used one of my credits so that I can listen to it on Audible. And then I also bought the book. And because, again, I'm a book snob, I made sure that I got a signed, I believe it's either a signed copy or it's some type of special edition. And yeah, I pre-ordered it and I'm ready. And I am ready to work on talking to Jane Allen, who is one of the authors of this book, like a co-write. So I'm excited for that. What else has been going on as we end this podcast? I would say just, preparing to have a good weekend, resting, relaxing, finding some downtime. That is definitely the key. Praying that the weather holds so we can have a good family beach day. And other than that, yeah, being there for friends, just doing my part. And I honestly hope that everybody's just going to have the best weekend and a good week because, we always end on a Friday, but it's like we have something to look forward to, correct? Well, that is the end of the episode. You now know what I'm reading. You know what I'm preparing to read. I'm so super excited. I haven't been really watching anything. Actually, that's a lie. I have been watching Unreasonable Doubt. I believe that's what it's called, with Morris Chestnut. And I know he's not the main focus. He's just a part of it, but definitely a good watch. We are on season 2. We are late to the party. We understand that. But you know what? A good binge is a good binge. And so we have been binge watching. When I say we, my husband and I have been binge watching Unreasonable Doubt. So that is what I've been watching. And that's the type of stuff that I would like to watch when it's like a series. When you have like multiple stuff and it's not necessarily a bunch of people fighting and throwing glasses and stuff. Because when I go out to eat with my friends on brunches, we trying to drink. We trying to get lit. We're not trying to have this liquor that we've paid good money for be thrown across the table. So that is that. So yeah, that's what I've been reading. That's what I've been watching. Outside of that, I've been doing some really amazing events. And one thing before I end, I had an amazing collaboration with Instagram talking about children's ability to be online and things that we can make sure that our kids are safe. I'm also going to leave that in the show notes because maybe you didn't get a chance to read the blog or see the content. And of course, because, it's a collaboration, meaning together, yeah, I want you to go ahead and give it a look out. And I'm so super glad because I gave a chance to put my daughter on Instagram. So thank God I've been teaching her like what to look out for, the safeties of Instagram and social media. But the other part of it that I want parents to also remember is that to teach your children not to put anything on there that they wouldn't want a college admission officer or their job to see them doing, because once you put on the internet, it is there forever. Right? All right. That's the end of this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Again, we talked about the different things that have to do with, how we feel when we're angry and how that manifests in our mental health and our wellness and our self-care. We talked about being honest, having open conversation, and learning to not allow ourselves to think that our spouses or people that are closest to us are responsible for our own mental health. You are in charge of making sure that you have everything that you need. And listen, just like you, just like me, we don't always have the right tools. And sometimes we pull out the wrong tool when we need to use a different tool. And that's all fine. That's all about learning. But do not make your person that you love be responsible for your mental health. And definitely don't allow your brain to tell you that they should put more work into your mental health than you're willing to do it, because that is not okay. That puts a lot of pressure on your person that loves you, but can't really always find a way to take care of all of your needs. So let's be more, let's find ways to help ourselves, and let's also be honest with the persons that we love, because nothing is more irritating than thinking you have communicated something to somebody and they have discovered that they have never heard you because you never said it in a way that makes sense, and or you just never said it in a way that was clear. Being angry with someone because they didn't do what you thought they should have done, but not telling them what it is that you want, is going to be a cycle that's not going to end well. So have a great weekend. Enjoy this beautiful weather that we have this summer. I will be back with you next week with Conversations with Toy.
Thank you as always for joining me. And I know that even in the deepest or joyful conversations, that there's something we can learn and apply. Until next time, I hope that you are doing better. If not, we will be back to talk some more and handle it. Peace to you and yours. Stay grounded.